What I do is use the turntable as a musical instrument. This is the way we create, this is the way we express ourselves. All you can think of is, are they going to like it? Are they going to respond to the routine the way I want them to? Are they going to get it? Are they going to understand it? You want your audience to understand what you're doing. How can I manipulate the emotions of a crowd? I want to try to do to the audience emotionally what the producer of the song did to me as I heard that song.
I got so much trouble on my mind, refuse to lose. Here's your ticket. Hear the drummer get wicked.
You had the introduction to the song. Then the drums come in. Boom, boom, you know, and then Chuck D's voice comes in, and then Terminator X starts scratching, and it's like all these layers and sections to the song that have you just feeling all this energy.
Hear the drummer get wicked.
I want to take my audience on the same peaks and valleys, ups and downs. I want to take my audience on the same roller coaster ride that Bomb Squad took me as I was listening to their song. I want to take that audience on that roller coaster ride as they watch me manipulate the song. I try to pick out sections throughout the song that I can connect and build a story, build that roller coaster ride, you know? So in the beginning, I'm just cutting back and forth the words, you know, going from the left turntable to the right turntable. Once I know that I got the audience's attention, I start manipulating that section more, because now I see that they're listening to me and they're focused on what I'm doing. And now that I got your focus, it's like I'm going to show you what more I could do with this section. Everything is structured, and nothing I do is by chance, unless the needle skips or something happens and I have to kind of improv on the spot. But for the most part, I'm at home trying to structure my routines into a story.
I know you're good, but still, I mean, you are all alone here now. I think this old house is going to become your doom.
There's the intro, there's the body, and then there's the conclusion, you know? And usually the conclusion to my routines usually have some sort of visual aspect to it as well. This way, I'm also hitting you with something for you to react to with your eyes and not just your ears.
About to kill it one time, come on.
The whole point of what it is that we do is, could you take a 12-inch record that wasn't meant for you to cut
and extract something out of it? What could you extract out of that record that wasn't meant for you to extract? That's the whole beauty of what we do.
Our goal is to construct and recreate music, to build compositions on vinyl, musical compositions. That being said, we're doing the impossible. To me, that's beautiful. You know, the turntable wasn't designed for us to scratch. It was designed for you to play a record and enjoy the music and either dance or just sit down and vibe to whatever it is that you're listening to, classical, jazz, whatever. When you think about it in terms of actually developing routines, think about it. When Timbaland produced Get Your Freak On, you know, with Missy Elliott, he didn't produce it with me in mind. He didn't produce it thinking, I want Rob Swift to take this section that I programmed and create his own routine on. He just produced it with Missy Elliott in mind, and he had all the people that he wanted to have dancing at the clubs in mind and on the radio in mind. He didn't have me in mind at all. I came along, took the record, and extracted something out of his composition that he didn't even know existed. That's the beauty of what we do as DJs, as turntablists.
Tell you like this. A fresh little story, be sure you don't miss. This fresh girl that I never saw. My mind was just getting in those jokes.
Like, I never stop grinding. You never stop trying to like get yours. You know what I mean? In this music, because once you start to get comfortable and you think that you made it, then life slaps you in the face, and there's some other DJ that everyone's looking to.
People that love music, I think, need to respect our art form and need to understand that this is something that we take serious.
How do you look at the art of like the solo with scratching?
I mean, yeah, all in all, just the art form of scratching is just an interpretation of expressing yourself musically, you know, like with Rob Swift, he's like more into jazz and, you know, he has a rock background too as well, so his style is like soulful.
What I do as a DJ reflects my personality, you know, and what someone else does as a DJ is going to reflect their personality, you know, and you see that in the way we develop routines and the way we construct, or I should say reconstruct, the records that we manipulate. Creating a routine off 2 pieces of vinyl definitely is impacted by your mood. If you're in the right frame of mind, you're gonna come up with some dope shit. That's what hip hop is about. It's about expressing yourself, not copying somebody. You know, it's about expressing yourself, whether it's through art and doing a piece, or whether it's through rapping and putting words together, how your voice, how you inject your voice, whether it's DJing, how you scratch. It's all about injecting your personality. So I feel a lot of the up-and-coming DJs have missed out on that because they don't have anyone to really show them that.
What you got, Rob? Come on. Make some noise for Rob Swift one time, y'all.
Thanks to cats like Grand Wizard Theodore and Grandmaster Flash and Grand Mixer DST, those pioneers helped redefine what the turntable was made for. And they've passed on the idea that you don't have to just simply let the needle play across a piece of vinyl.
Yo, real quick, I want to give a big shout out to my boy Steve D in the back. The inventor of the funk. A lot of us call it beat juggling. And all this shit up on stage on the reels started with that man right there, so much props.
When you're performing by yourself, you can't lean on the guy to your left and the guy to your right. You can't lean on a band in back of you. The difference between performing by myself as Rob Swift and performing with Ill Insanity or with the X-ecutioners is that it's real simple. All the pressure to carry the show, to maintain the interest of the people that are watching me falls on my shoulders. You know, when you're performing with you know, alongside someone like Rock Raider.
LL Cool J is hard as hell. Battle anybody, I don't care you. LL Cool J is hard as hell. Battle anybody, I don't care you.
Total Eclipse. Chris or DJ Precision. There's not as much of that responsibility to keep the attention of the crowd focused on stage. You could kind of sit back and kind of like let the guy to your left or the guy to your right, you know, do his thing and kill it. And then when you get back on stage, it's like you're fresh again. You kind of recharge your battery. And it's the same when you're performing with a band. When you're performing with a band, if you make a mistake, a lot of times it's not really that noticeable because you got the bass player killing it, you know, you got the guy on the drums keeping the rhythm going. So your mistakes aren't as magnified as they are when you're just by yourself. When you're performing by yourself and you make a mistake, that's it. Like it's obvious something happened, something went wrong. You got to figure out a way to get out of that mistake and get back into the groove of your routine. When you're performing by yourself, there's more freedom for you to do what you want to do. So if you want to play a particular genre of music, it's your choice. And a lot of times having that freedom is when you actually grow a lot. You're gonna live or die with the decision of picking a particular record or trying a particular routine, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But no one's mad at you. No one is telling you after the show, I told you we should have never done that, or I never felt comfortable doing this. Or so a lot of times when you're performing by yourself, or whether you're working on an album by yourself, or just being creative by yourself, you're not being influenced by anyone to not do anything, to not try anything. You could kind of take more risks. My mentor, Dr. Butcher, had these 2 records, Nobody Beats the Biz, at his house. And he was just playing around with them, just toying around, throwing stuff in, improvising. And I remember I show up at his house and he's like, yo, Rob, there's mad shit in these records. Nobody Beats the Biz is a record that was produced by Marley Marl, and Marley Marl was a, you know, classic, historic figure in hip-hop. You know, he's given birth to some of the best hip-hop, you know, ever. And he was another one of those producers that arranged his music in sections. You know, he always had a really cool intro. Then there was like a pre-chorus with dope scratches. Then, you know, there was the verse, and then he would have like little bridges. His structure was similar to the Bomb Squad, but the energy was different. I took the records home, studied the beginning, and started playing around with them, and gradually just started bumping into all these different patterns. You spend months and months at your house, you know, sweating, not eating, locked up in your room, trying to develop a routine that people will like. And when you unleash it for the first time, or you're up there doing it, kind of putting your ego on the line.
Fuck it up, bro!
It's just pure hip hop. Hearing the people respond to the routine the way you want them to always makes you feel like, all right, I did my job. You know, like I accomplished what I set out to do with this routine. I think the reason why I did so good in my first competition, which was the East Coast DMC battle, was because I devoted my whole entire being to that battle. Everything that I was doing, whether it was walking to school or eating or talking to a girl, what was basically taking up my thoughts was just wanting to do good in that battle. Dr. Butcher, who was my mentor, or still is my mentor, he helped me prepare for the competition. And what he would do is he would print out like daily affirmations for me to read. And I would read these daily affirmations and then practice. And I'd read them and then go to sleep. And then I wake up in the morning and read them again. And it was a 12-month period of me preparing, not just physically, but mentally, and envisioning myself doing good and rocking the crowd and killing all my routines and being flawless. And I think when you do that, when you apply yourself to that degree in anything that you do, you know, you're gonna have some success. Losing or failing is actually a good thing. You know what I mean? And I think it took placing third and understanding how disappointed I felt and how much I wanted to win. It took that for me to understand how to prepare for the following year. That following year was when I created and developed those classic routines that people know me for. If I would have won, who's to say I would have came up with those routines, you know what I mean? So things have a funny way of kind of like building character, I feel, and placing third, I think, was a blessing in disguise.
First of all, I want to thank the Almighty God for making this possible. I want to thank all my friends that came to support me today. I want to thank all the X-Men. Youngins keep me motivated, and without you, I wouldn't be here. Tony. I want to thank Dr. Butcher for his motivation and his words of wisdom. And I gotta thank Steve D for making me want to get into competitions.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is my man Rob Swift. This shit is all live on the 1 and 2. So if we fuck up, act like you know what we trying to do. Rob Swift. Check it out. Check out Rob Swift, bro. Check it out. Check it out. Check it out. Check it out. Slow it down, Rob. Yeah. I'm clapping hands.
if I'm performing, I get a lot of my energy as I'm performing from the audience. So if I feel that people aren't reacting to what I'm doing, a lot of times it makes me feel like either they don't understand the routine or they don't like the routine, and both aren't good. But there are instances where you're performing and people are so amazed, so impressed that they're speechless and they don't know how to react. They're more so studying what you're doing and they're just kind of like dumbfounded. Sometimes as you're performing, you could misinterpret someone's shock with them disliking or not being into the routine. The main thing that you need to do is just keep going, you know? And I think what happens a lot of times is you're performing, people may not be reacting to certain parts of your routine the way you thought they would. And then when you finish, people start applauding and they clap for you. It's almost like they were just saving that outburst for the very end because they wanted to just focus on every single thing that you were doing. So, you know, it varies. You could be, like, I've performed in Japan and I'm killing it. Everything I'm doing is on point and I don't hear a peep from the audience. But in Japan, it's almost disrespectful to have an outburst of yelling or applauding in the middle of someone's performing. In Japan, they feel it's more respectful to wait till the person's finished and then you applaud. Then you could be somewhere like Europe where in the middle of your set, people are yelling at you, they're yelling your name, they're throwing their hands in the air, they're screaming. So I've had people jump on stage in the middle of my routines because they're just so happy to see me do a routine that they were waiting for me to do live in person in front of their eyes. People's responses vary, you know, and the main thing as a performer is you just have to focus on what you're doing, and even if they don't like you, try to perform your routine as clean as possible so that at least you could be like, well, yo, I pulled it off clean, you know, whether or not they liked it, hey, at least I could say I pulled it off clean.
Bob Swift! Say Bob Swift! Hey, Bob Swift, where you at? Say what's up to the beautiful people. Do we feel good?
When you're performing in front of the audience, it's important that they understand, A, the record you're using, and B, what you're doing to the record. If you just start off backspinning and beat juggling and doing body tricks to this record that they may not be familiar with, they may not understand the nuances of what you're doing. It just kind of sounds like noise. I really believe that it's important for you to gradually ease your audience into the routine. So what I do first is let the record play so that they hear the section I'm about to manipulate the way it originally sounds. once I know that they got a grasp of it, and usually it takes about maybe 8 bars for them to understand, all right, I hear this section, what's he gonna do to it? Then I start gradually manipulating. I start off easily and gradually I get more intricate with the patterns I do. It's important to ease your audience into the routine. You know, you have to structure everything a certain way so that the people watching you understand what you're doing to the record, because our art form, for the most part, isn't really widely known in today's age of music, you know? I couldn't tell you how many people come up to me at shows and confess that that's the first time that they saw a DJing like that. So knowing that maybe 50% of my audience is seeing me for the first time, I have to take them into consideration when I'm developing these routines. I have to think to myself, are they gonna know this record? Well, maybe half of them aren't. Well, how can I make sure that that half that doesn't know the record that I'm using understands what I'm doing? Letting the record play out for a few, kind of establishing a groove, letting them know what the record sounds like before you actually start to manipulate it is very important.
New York City, y'all. And Swift comes on. Let's go have Vibe Swift. Do your thing, baby.
Every now and then I try to throw in something visual for my audience to take in. This way it's like putting an exclamation point on what I'm doing. Or in other words, it's like, all right, if you're a little lost sonically with the patterns I'm creating, let me give you something visual to react to. Me, I'm more of a like kind of laid back, you know, kind of dude. I'm not really into like the crazy theatric, going under my leg 1,000 miles per hour and spinning around. I'm really more into the sonic part of developing a routine. That being said, I appreciate body tricks. I appreciate being able to use different parts of your body or being visual as you're performing on the turntables.
How many of y'all seen the movie Scratch?
When I sit down to actually form a routine, I try to just focus on what hasn't been done already. If I don't come off in a unique way, if I don't stand out, I won't have the impact that I want. So I had this Public Enemy record. The name of the song is called Public Enemy No. 1. Then I had to come up with the drums, and I bumped into the bridge. Again, it's a song by Marley Marl, MC Shan, and I always like the beat because it's hard. The beat goes boom, spat, boom, boom, bat, boom, boom. But it's just like heavy and it thumps and it's just pure hip hop. So I was like, all right, I got my drums, I got my melody. How do I piece the two together? On Public Enemy #1, the introduction to the song is a sample from a record that has like this weird buzz noise. The wow, wow, wow. You know, it's like this weird noise. A lot of the true hip hop fans out there know what I'm talking about. So I was thinking to myself, man, I want to create a routine where I could use that noise as a melody and then scratch drums on the free turntable and combine the melody with the drums. So that little buzz sound kind of plays as an intro. It loops for about, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 seconds, and then the track plays. I needed to figure out a way to keep the buzz loop going. The part that goes, how can I extend that? How can I keep that going? So I came up with the idea of using a piece of tape, placing it just right on the record so that before the beat drops in and the buzz sound ends, the needle plays and it would hit the tape and skip back. Hit the tape, skip back. Hit the tape, skip back. So it would loop itself. So I figured out a way to keep the wah just playing. I had to figure out, what melody am I gonna do? What am I gonna do with the wah? It can't just go wah for like, you know, a minute. That gets annoying. So using the pitch on the turntable, I came up with a little way of playing almost like as if I'm playing like keys on a piano. So I was like, I have my melody, now I got the drums, I gotta figure out a way to piece the two together. So I just leave the fader right in the middle and both turntables are playing. I play the melody first and then I drop the drums in and play them both together. So it's as if you're hearing a producer program some drums to this wow, wow, but I'm the producer on the turntables doing it live.
Pump your fist like this. You better pump your fist like this for Rob Swift. Yeah, pump your fist like this. Come on, pump your fist like this. Check it out, come on.
I remember the first time I did the routine, I was so nervous that my hand was just not moving the right way, and the melody went from wow, 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 wow to like wow, wow, like it was like a crazy weird melody I did, and it took me a couple of seconds to kind of compose myself and do it the right way as I was dropping the beat in. Again, depending on your mood and the vibe and how you feel, if you're nervous, it's going to probably affect how clean you pull off a routine. Now, you know, I'm so used to doing a routine that, you know, it's nothing for me to perform it in front of people. But that's one of the routines that like always gets the crowd into it, you know, and what I like to do is get the crowd to throw their fist in the air and pump their fists to the beat, because it's just like you listen to the beat and you're just like, yo, this is crazy. If I grew up with a piano in the household, I bet you any money I'd be playing piano now, but I didn't, you know? And I think somehow there was some sort of innate thing in me to want to make music somehow. So I had turntables, that's all I had in the household, so that's what I was forced to use. So like the last routine that I did off the Latin record, that's me trying to be as musical as I can. I have a scratch routine off a remake of a song called Just One of Those Things, where I'm following the instrumentation of pianos and horn licks with scratches. But then I have another scratch routine off a rock record. I'm not necessarily following the instrumentation. As the rock beat is playing, I arranged introduction, a chorus, a verse, a chorus, a verse and an outro. I'm like a voice over the rock record, but my voice is scratches. It's what I'm doing I'm with my left hand.
What you got, Rob? Come on.
The Latin scratch routine, it's more me following the actual instrumentation within the music. That scratch routine, the Latin scratch routine, differs from the rock scratch routine. So everything that I do with regards to routines, I try my best to be different on, and I try my best to apply a different mentality to each song that I pick up, because one song naturally is just going to differ from the other. What Timbaland does on Get Your Freak On is different from what Marley Marl does on The Bridge.
Rob Swift. Save the breath, save the breath. Punk MCs better save the freaking breath.
I wanted people to not just see me as another dope DJ, but to see me as a musician, you know. And growing up, I've been exposed to a lot of forms of music, from salsa music to jazz to rock, and you know, I came up listening to people like Bob James and so on and so forth. So I wanted to be like them on the turntable.
I have a very, very special guest joining my band, allowing us to combine some things that are retro and things that are looking forward into the future. Please welcome on the turntables, DJ Rob Swift.
Yo, the idea that someone like Bob James or Herbie Hancock will reach out to me and ask me to lend a hand on a project of theirs, or to sit in with them on stage, on tour in Japan or New York, it floors me, to be honest with you. I remember being a little kid and, you know, reading the credits to Herbie Hancock's Rocket and reading the credits to Bob James' Mardi Gras and seeing the picture of Bob James on the back of the album cover, and never really thinking that down the line I'd end up working with this guy. the idea that I'm actually rubbing shoulders with people like Bob James and Herbie Hancock, the idea that they would reach out to me and want me to lend a hand as a DJ, as a turntablist, as a musician, using the turntable as my instrument, coming from cats that are classically trained, that have won Grammys, that are respected, you know, worldwide, from people of all walks of life. For me, it's like, you know, if it all ended tomorrow, I could look back and say I've accomplished a lot. I think that the equipment you use all depends on what you feel comfortable using. It's that simple. Me personally, I feel most comfortable when I'm on 2 Technics turntables. I grew up on Technics turntables. My dad was a DJ. He would spin Spanish music, salsa, merengue, cumbia, and he would have my brother and I help him carry records and turntables and the mixers and speakers to like weddings and, you know, birthday parties and New Year's Eve parties, and we'd sit there and just watch my dad make people dance. So that was my first exposure to DJing. He had one 1300 Technics and one 1600 Technics. So the feel of Technics turntables is what I know, and that's what I feel most comfortable on. I've DJed on all kinds of turntables. I've DJed on CD turntables, and nothing compares to the feel of a Technics. That doesn't mean that you out there need to go out and buy 2 Technics turntables. Take, for example, Rock Raider. When I met him, he had probably the worst turntables known to man. Like, I don't even remember the name of these turntables, but they were like 2 toys. And what I mean by that is they weren't professional turntables. I remember he'd be in the middle of doing a routine and they would just stop on us, and he'd have to take the plate from the turntable off and adjust something and then put the plate back on and continue, you know, his practicing. That being said, Rock Raider knew how to work those turntables as if they were Technics. I think that your drive and how committed you are to being good and practicing overrides any kind of equipment you use ultimately. So yeah, I feel comfortable when I'm on 2 Technics turntables, but if I was forced to scratch on some other turntables for the rest of my life, I love the art so much that I'll get used to it.
I want y'all to look at the camera and go crazy.
If I have a show in Tokyo, I just bring my laptop and my little, you know, duffel bag, carry it on the plane. I don't have to worry about checking records or records being damaged or paying excess fees. It's amazing. And Rain actually, the company which designed this mixer, has another mixer. It's called the TTM57 that allows you to manipulate the laptop straight from your mixer. They have all these buttons lined up, and you could actually access songs straight from your mixer without having to go to your laptop. Me personally, I feel like technology like Serato, if you use it the right way, is really helpful. Now creatively, I'm able to let them see me like recreate a song live. You know what I mean? And that's something that you couldn't do back like in the late 90s when I was touring with the X-ecutioners. You know what I mean? We were limited. The Serato Scratch Live software opens up the spectrum of what you could do on stage. As long as you have DJs like myself repping the technology the right way, I don't see anything wrong with it. And another thing that I feel that's been really helpful for me, Rain created a mixer called the Rain TTM57, which works with Serato. And what it does is you could manipulate the Serato software straight from your mixer. Before, you would have to connect the Serato software to your mixer through an interface, which was like a box, like a little Rain box. With the Rain T1057, you could actually manipulate the sounds and trigger whatever it is that you want to manipulate on the turntable off your laptop straight from the mixer. So, you know, I think that that's definitely another example of how there's companies out there like Rain that are developing technology for DJs like myself to keep pushing the boundaries, to keep testing the waters, to keep experimenting. You know what I mean? And that's important because that's how the art grows.
When I say Rob Swift, y'all say Rob Swift, get business, Rob Swift. Rob Swift.
With my routines, I try to create, you know, classics. You know, I try to create routines that are timeless. Think about like classic composers like Beethoven. You know, their music has lasted generations, you know? And why can't I do that as a DJ? Why can't I construct a routine that lasts generations, that 2 generations from now, DJs are gonna look back to my routines and think, wow, that was ahead of its time. That's what I think about a lot of times when I sit down to create routines is I want this to be as potent as it is now 10 years from now. I want DJs to look back on this routine and think like, wow, that was the blueprint of what beat juggling is about, what creating a routine from nothing is about. You know what I mean? So I definitely do my part to like make all my routines unique in some way. And if you think about it, when you see me perform one routine to the next, each of them are unique. The patterns I do on my Feeling James cut are different from the patterns on the Dr. Knockboots routine. The concept is the same in that I want to reconstruct the music within the records, but how I reconstruct them changes from record to record. I have with Dr. Knockboots, which is a more recent routine I came up with. The first time I debuted it was on, it was in that Scratch movie that a lot of people see me do it, and that was the first time I pulled it out, first time I performed it in front of people. Those patterns are in no way similar to the patterns I do on Welcome to the Terradome or the patterns I do on Get Your Freak On, or the patterns I do with The Bridge and the Public Enemy. instrumentation within a particular song has a major influence on what I do to the song. I'm basically just enhancing that concept. So I'm already changing it, but I'm not going away from what the producer is doing on a record. I'm like enhancing it. I'm adding on to it. You know, I think the mistake that some DJs do when they're sitting down, they got their pieces of vinyl on hand and they're about to create a routine, is that they don't actually listen to the song. They just start applying random patterns to sections that they feel they want to manipulate. It's important to sit down and listen to the song because the song tells you what you need to do to it. It's important for you to realize that the only way the art will grow is if the people that are inspired by me, that watch me, know that they could take it to a level higher than I have. Just like I learned from people like Grand Wizard Theodore, Grandmaster Flash, Grand Mixer DST, Steve D, Mixmaster Ice, DJ Aladdin. I learned from these guys, but there came a point where I felt I could take that inspiration, that motivation that they gave me and help the art grow. I do what I do, man, because I love the art of DJing. I do what I do because I love expressing myself creatively. But I also know that I have to do that in a way that makes me stand out from other DJs. And I know that I have to do that in a way that helps me come off unique. I don't want to be compared to other people. I think I would have become a musician regardless. It just so happened that turntables were the instrument that I had access to. And Rob Swift, the musician, tries to use those turntables and manipulate the turntables and achieve the vibe and the feeling that you would watching a Jimi Hendrix or Miles Davis or Bob James, you know. And for that reason, I really like to listen to all kind of music. I really try to embrace music from all genres. I try to study different artists because I feel like it always helps me kind of apply what I learned from watching artists of other genres, apply what I see them do to what I'm trying to do on the turntables.